Since the Industrial Revolution, the world has seen unprecedented intermingling between people on Earth. These connections are innumerable and can be seen all around us in our daily lives. From the air we breathe to the ground we stand on, virtually everything is connected in our shared human experience. While there are thousands of books written on this topic, I want to talk about who we think we are, how that relates to colonialism and slavery, and what we can do about it. But before we jump to such grand ideas, it is important to understand who we are, and more importantly, who we think we are. Take, for example, me. When asked who I am, depending on the situation, I usually answer with American, white, male, agnostic, student, the list goes on. But how much of my identity do I choose, and how much of it is chosen for me? Is there something inside me that makes me American or agnostic? Certainly not. At the intersection of where biology and identity cross is eugenics. Eugenics identifies groups by certain traits and seeks to improve the human population by preserving the desirable ones. This type of thinking is dangerous because it nurtures stereotyping and racism. So if my identity can't be measured, what makes me? The idea of who one thinks they are is often self-identified or imposed on them by their society. While there is no consensus on how we should conceptualize identity, we should be mindful to recognize how our own privilege oppresses others, but also how it gives us the power to promote change. While having an identity helps people understand who I am and relate to me, there are some parts of it I am not proud of. I am an enabler for child labor, poor working conditions, and slavery. That's right, and before you say I'm a terrible person, you might realize that you are enabling those things too. Let's take a look across the Big Blue to Shenzhen, where the Foxconn manufacturing plant is. Foxconn is a large manufacturing company that makes electronic parts for companies like Apple. Many of us enjoy Apple products, and hell, I'm making this presentation on an Apple product. But this enjoyment comes at the expense of others. The working conditions are poor, with low wages, doing a monotonous task. The workers are offered a place to live, but they are only paid enough to get by. They are unable to save up enough money to leave and become binded to the manufacturing plant. Foxconn controls most aspects of these people's lives, and the money never circulates outside of the manufacturing plant. Life at the manufacturing plant was so bad that they had to install nets to keep people from jumping off the sides. The workers have their identity determined by Foxconn, and in doing so, they are practicing a form of slavery. So if you enjoy an Apple product, you too are implicated in the enslavement of thousands of workers. Slavery is not confined to the past and has just changed its form. The slavery practiced at Foxconn is confining people's entire existence in a monotonous routine where they don't know anything different. After that depressing bit, one might wonder, what can we do to change the world? That is the golden question. As like most of the questions asked in this book, there is no clear-cut answer. After learning about such inhumane acts like slavery, one might identify themselves as a social justice advocate. There are millions of people who are already active and care about global politics. For social change to happen, we have to work together. It is our being with other people that makes life exciting and worthwhile in the first place. Slavery would not exist if humans didn't invent it, but neither would the iPhone, which has a lot of good things to offer. We create and shape identities for each other, as well as make our own. All of these things demonstrate the power of human creation. Our ideas of right and wrong may be vastly different, but our basic human needs are the same. While it may seem like I'm speaking in platitudes, my answer for what can we do to change the world is to listen to each other and work together. It may seem simple, but it is amazing what can be accomplished when we see each other as equal human beings. Having long-term goals can be constructive, but I believe that the millions of tiny, sometimes unnoticed actions hold more weight than any huge accomplishment. That is what makes humanity work.
The only man in history to double back and win the Olympic 100 and 200 double twice. He did it in Beijing.